Hi, guys. Welcome to my favorite day of the week because I get to spend it with you. And I had a wonderful viewer with a great suggestion. And he said that the fiat system feels like a measuring stick that keeps changing dimensions. And that's a very powerful image. And the timing was perfect because I'd already bought this folding ruler because I wanted a simple way to make changing measurements visible. And understand that my goal is to bring more props and visual teaching into my work so these ideas are not only understood, but actually remembered. And we have already redone the dime card, okay, that dime card video. And I think that if you want to see the new one, you can scan the QR code and you'll find that new one here. It's like 2.5 minutes. So you can get anybody to listen to anything for 2.5 minutes. And it's really important because when the measuring stick changes, people can feel that something is wrong way before they can explain it, if they can ever really explain it. So today, well, what is that new measurement? AI efficiency. Who defines that? Who benefits from it? Who gets measured against it? And as we go through this, if this helps you see the hidden truths behind the headlines, just make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, leave a comment, because let me tell you, we're already seeing this change. So let me know where you're seeing the change as well. And let's look at who's building this new measurement tool. Oops, it's not changing. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. So again, we have somebody that made a comment, optimistic beekeeper, and it's a great one. Thank you so much for that. Now, the largest companies are projected to spend roughly $1 trillion building AI infrastructure. These companies used to fund expenses largely from free cash flow. Now, some, and you can see it right here, are going cash flow negative. Now, in 29, we had the industrialists transfer the risk to the public before the 1929 crash. Is that what we're seeing here? Because all we're issuing debt to help fund that build out. And that is about risk transfer, not just the innovation. They're experimenting at enormous scale with legal protections, right? That safe harbor, borrowed money, and public markets exposed when the promise or if the promise disappoints. I can't guarantee any of that. But what return must AI produce to justify all of this spending? And oh, by the way, who carries the risk if it doesn't justify it? Wall Street is actually also starting to ask that question. And so too much money is chasing the same promise? That does not mean that AI has less value, but it does mean that the market may already be pricing in gains that haven't arrived. That's what we're seeing here. And when one story gets crowded, the system becomes vulnerable if that story disappoints. And we've seen it with the whipsawing. Today, let's see, we're all making new highs. Woohoo! But tomorrow, war back on. So really, the NASDAQ is at record territory, but price alone does not tell us whether this build out is sustainable. Here's the real expectation that's built into these valuations. Capital spending is surging. Free cash flow is under pressure and going down. Debt and outside financing are replacing the cash that once funded expansion. Debt, my friends. Yet Wall Street still expects these companies' profit margin to continue to rise. So the market is not merely betting that AI works. It's betting that AI produces enough revenue and efficiency to cover all of that debt. And how about the depreciation and the cost of this enormous infrastructure? And they've got to do it all before investor confidence changes. And that's why this crowding matters. When so much value depends on nearly everything going absolutely right, one big disappointment can travel through the entire market. Now, let's just follow that power. This is not just technology. This is situational awareness and Citadel. This story matters because it shows capital positioning around advanced AI. What this really is, my friends, this is control. Who funds the machine may help shape who controls the rail it runs on. And when those rails change, guess what? This ruler, well, that changes too. But before the new system is fully built, well, we're already seeing the risk. Anthropic's AI models were reportedly hacked during tests. And why is this not changing? Sorry about that. Well, Anthropic AI models, look at this. They were hacked during tests and used against 3 organizations. This changes the question. So it's not only what can AI do or say, it is what can AI access and what can it do when it hits that access? Because once AI can act inside different systems, that risk moves beyond the screen. Absolutely. And the company's own warning makes that clear. Look at this. Anthropic warned that advanced AI agents with access to sensitive information can represent a substantial threat. That's not fear. That's the builder telling us access changes the risk. A tool that talks, well, that's one thing. A tool that acts inside systems, and they can do it independently. A lot of tests have shown that. That's something else. And this is not one isolated case. Here, OpenAI, Anthropic, Hugging Face, other companies, different names, same warning. The technology is being connected to systems before every consequence is fully understood. And let me tell you, we aren't going to understand all of the consequences in the testing phase. So if you're seeing this pattern, please do me a favor and like this video and give us a thumbs up and comment in the below, because we need to get this information out there. And now this comes home to the worker. How does it do that? Well, for the company, that could mean lower costs. But for the worker, it can mean lost income, disrupted health insurance, delayed retirement, and how about some stress on the family? So efficiency, that is not neutral. It depends on who receives the gain and who absorbs the disruption. And Chime, they're not alone. This machine is still being built. The risks are still being discovered, but workers are already being measured against it. That's why self-sovereignty matters. That's why local community matters. Food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter, especially that local community. Because when big systems change, the people closest to you matter the most. So here's the question to carry forward. Who measures the value of your work? Because if AI becomes the new measure of corporate efficiency, who decides what your work is worth? Some of you might just remember that before Zang International, I had built another gold company. I know what it feels like to bring your labor, knowledge, experience, passion, hopes, dreams, your mission to the table. And I know what it feels like to have it not valued. But someone else's failure to recognize your value does not erase that value. And here at Zang International, our oldest employee is 79. And he's the chairman of the board. Our youngest employee is 23. All of us working together bring different experiences because we have everybody in between as well. Those skills and ways of seeing the world. That's what makes us stronger together. That's our community. Join us. Because every single person brings value. A company may remove workers and call that efficiency and the markets go up. But efficiency is not the same thing as value. And even when your work is valued, can the money you are paid in carry that value forward? Now look, here's one measuring stick. And here's another one. I can't bend this measuring stick. I can't bend this gold or this silver. Technology changes. The rails change. Monetary systems change. But honest labor still needs an honest measuring stick. So ask yourself, who do you want measuring the value of your work? A system that can keep changing the rules? And if this raises questions about your own foundation, we're here. Our strategy specialists, all of us, the whole team, the whole community, we are here to help you look at what you own, what you depend on, and how physical gold and silver may fit into your sound money strategy because it can't be inflated away. It holds the value of your labor into the future. But the goal is not fear. The goal is global community demanding redeemable gold back in the monetary system again. What a concept. And the goal is to recognize your value, strengthen your foundation, become as independent and self-sufficient inside of local community. And boy, oh boy, help build a future where honest money can once again carry honest labor into a brighter future for all of us. And I know we can do this. One person, no, we can't do it alone. But we come together in both local and global community and demand it. We only need 3%, that's all. We don't need 100% of the people to get it. But my work is about helping people understand what is truly happening, that you can't see, those hidden truths of money. And all we have to do is take our power back. Together we can do this. And now I'll take some questions. And at Ralph Ramsey asks, it's all caps, are all using AI for these communications. How can we avoid in life as all business progress is streaming, firing people to use AI? I'm not saying you shouldn't use these tools, and I'm not saying there aren't value in them. What I am saying is that the only way that we can take our power back and still use these tools, I mean, I can see how you can have redeemable gold in a digital currency, make it 40% backed, and I'd be okay with that. Give me the gold if I don't like what you're doing. So I'm not saying avoid it. I'm saying let's take our power back so that that is not controlling us. We are controlling it. If we don't do it, everybody that's building those rails, guess who's controlling and valuing your labor? We got to take our power back. You know, for me, I'm going to be 72 in a couple of months. I'm in good condition. I'm not worried about me. And I'm not even really worried so much about my children because I know what I've done and what I'm doing to protect their future and to make sure that the value goes into the future, that legacy. But I am talking about I'm talking about everybody else's kids, and I'm also talking about the future. We have to be in control because if we're not, who is controlling it? And who's going to determine how much you're worth? That is not okay with me. And did James 6255 asks, Lynette, I think the question we all have is how much longer can they manipulate this freaking system? Yep, that's the bazillion ounces of gold question. And nobody really has that direct answer, except for this. This is a system that's built on promises. And that means you've got to have confidence. And so, you know, I watch those confidence numbers all the time, and we've already broken that support level to confidence. It's done. So while I can't be specific and say, hey, Tuesday morning at 8:35, everything's going to come crashing down, what I can say is that the confidence is being held together with spit and glue. That's not very powerful. And so another big push of inflation, which I can see coming. Can you see it coming? With oil whipsawing and the war going on and all of the typical things that happen around currency regimes. And keep in mind, I mean, we're asking that question, and I know everybody's asking that question, but it's going to be very, very painful. And I hope you're fully prepared, because that's what my work is all about, is getting you prepared so that when it does become apparent, it's already happening. It's happening in the confidence numbers. You just can't see it. And I think it was Ernest Hemingway. It was Ernest Hemingway when he was asked, how did you go bankrupt? And he said, slowly at first, and then very quickly. That's the way it happens. There isn't that nothing is happening. They are putting in the rails of the new system, and they've gotten a lot of adoption and compliance. So the question really is, do I need to know exact moment? And I'd ask you, James, and anybody else out there, how ready are you for this full collapse? How much surety do you have in food, water, energy, security, barterability, which, you know, for me is primarily silver, but not only, because any talent that you have, and gold and silver in any form at all, is barterable at its base. So barterability, wealth preservation, which is for me most definitely primarily gold, but not exclusively, because there's wealth in family, there's wealth in community itself. I mean, my goodness, it was life-changing for me when I realized that what I really needed to do is bring community together. I don't know how to do it. I'm figuring it out as we go along. But the fact that you're here tells me I'm doing something right. And if you're looking at my work and maybe it's getting more clear, because that's something I have been working on. Oh my God, I've been working on that so many years, so many years. And I feel like I'm finally finding my voice. And look at this. It only took me 72 years to figure it out. So I don't know. I can't be specific with the time, but what I can tell you, it's not nothing that's happening until the collapse. There's a lot happening that you and I cannot see. We're seeing the little tip of the iceberg. It's what's underneath that we can't see. That's that black swan event, but that's also about confidence because we are right here. So are you ready for it? Do you have surety in all of those places? Do you have your local community built? Are you part of the global sound money movement? Because I'm not in a rush to see this next crisis. I'm not. I've been through enough of them to know it's going to be very hard on most people. So I welcome it and I say thank you for the gift because it gives me more time to get prepared. And I did meet someone in Panama that they've got a phenomenal vault down there, really impressive. And I have to tell you, he's more prepared than I am. And that's kind of unique. How prepared are you? Don't be in a big rush for this next crisis. It will not be pretty. And if you're not fully prepared, get it done. Use this time, this opportunity. Ignore Wall Street signals because they need you to stay in the system. Oh, I don't want gold and silver. The spot market is falling. The spot market is just a trading market. Physical gold in your possession is not a trade. It's a foundation. And Nathan Patel, 1786. Do you work with any other vendors like Vault AZ? I don't know Vault AZ, but certainly, can we mark that down and let's check them out? Because that's optionality. So we actually work with a number of vaults. Well, we don't work with any vaults really, but we are aware of a number of vaults. Definitely in different places around the world, private vaults, if that's the choice that you make. And you don't need all of your metals right near you. I will say that you do need your barterable metals near you, right? So your whole barterable position, your cash, and then your fractional silver, fractional gold, that's the stuff that you need near you. And it depends on if you're executing the rest of the strategy. So I think we have a vault. I think we have do we have a vault list put together? Let's find out. We'll double check that. And that's neutral. If I don't feel comfortable with a vault after we do our research, it won't be on that list. But if we've done our due diligence, you have to also do your due diligence. But we don't work directly with any vaults. And Duma Charlie 123 asks, Lynette, I was injured in March, but have been able to grow vegetables on the back deck with the help of my hubby hauling up the soil he made from the compost bin. Is there more to that question, or was this more of a comment? Oh, yep. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing. And this is the kind of stuff, because we are a community here. And if you put your experience or your thoughts in the comments, then what that does is it helps other people that are also dealing with things to recognize their own. This is how we help the community. So thank you very much. I'm sorry that you're injured. I hope you're getting better. And I don't know where you are, but we have a lot of moringa seeds. So, okay, they're going to yell at me for this. I know Jessica's going, don't do it. Don't do it. Maybe we can run a little contest. If you guys would like, we'll put together a little farm packet of what we do, and we can have a little, let's talk, we'll come back to that, because when I make these rules up on the fly, then I have to listen to them complain. They hate when I do that. So I'm trying to be good and I'm trying to be reasonable because there's a lot of moving parts that are happening right now. But I think we should put maybe a little, some of our seeds together, as well as maybe a little farm. Oh, molasses. Oh my gosh. The sugar cane that Chef Jason converted into molasses. It's the best. I mean, you could eat it off of a spoon. We should have a molasses off. And we should have a honey off. So I'll put some honey in, maybe some spring honey as well as some winter honey, because it's so interesting how different the honeys are, even from the same property. So we'll do that. Yeah, somebody out there is watching, going, "Oh my God, Lynette, why did you say that?" I can't help myself. I love it. And oh, in Virginia. Oh, okay. How cold what's the coldest it gets in Virginia? We'll find that out, because the moringa, it can work in a pot any time of the year. And once it's established, it can get a little bit below freezing, so a little bit below 32 degrees. So if you're in an area, and that's like, I wish you had it. Now, if you're working with a strategy specialist, your call, and then just tell them I said this on the live, and we'll send you up. Oh, you love moringa. Are you growing it yourself? See, I would like to get to the point where we actually have the people that are asking the questions. We'll get there. We will get there, because it would be great to have this whole conversation where everybody can really see it and hear it. And yes, I love moringa too. I eat it all the time. And we have lots and lots of seeds. Okie doke. And Nathan Patel, 1786. If we move to a technocracy, what would the roles of the state governments be? Boy, I think we're already in a technocracy where technocrats are making all of these determinations. I mean, when we had redeemable gold in the system, that was when the public had its power. That's why it's so important to get it back. We really are. Well, are we in a technocracy? No, we've still got politicians that are determining a lot of stuff, but boy, we have to be in a real democracy. We have to have sound money in the system. What would the roles be of the state governments? I don't know. Let's mark that. I'll think about that. I'll think about that. Especially since I'm about to get a bit more involved in that, not as a politician, but as a way to educate state governments. And I know that one of the challenges that's been coming up in some of the states is that then the state wants to become the gold and silver sellers, which we don't want government in it. No, it defeats the purpose. It defeats the purpose. So we have to work on that. That would be a form of technocracy, but I'll kind of think about that a little bit more as I'm developing this. I have it on my list, but as you can tell, I'm learning a new skill right now. So, and we all are, because when I'm learning a new skill, guess what? Everybody's learning a new skill. So give us a minute to create these new habits. And that is absolutely, it's already on my list in a very big way. And Tommy Carpenter asks, thank you for the wisdom, Lynette. Thank you for being here. I learned a lifetime's worth of knowledge from you, and that is valuable. Thank you so much, because you're the reason why I do all of this. This is my mission in life. And how do you value that? Like, I don't ever see myself not working toward having power back in the public's hands, because, I don't know how far we're going to get. I know if I don't do anything, we're not getting anywhere. If I don't educate you and help you see the truth, then how can you make educated choices that actually puts your best interest first? And it was interesting. The video, if you have not yet seen it, This is one, share, because it's the first one that's gone out in the new series, which we have to make sure that they mark that, okay, of the hidden truths of money. And I asked Julie, who is our very newest community member, how long has she been here? Maybe about a month and a half. So she's only been here like 6 weeks-ish. And I asked her to watch it. And then when I came in this morning, and Max as well, and those are two of our assistants, but Max has been here longer, so he knows more. And that's why I asked Julie specifically. But I did ask both of them, and they had really good feedback. But the feedback, so, understand this is still something new. I'm working on it. You'll see it changing. And by the way, I never really know if you notice the change or not. So I would appreciate that feedback. And her feedback to me this morning was that, actually both of their feedback to me this morning was that it was really helpful that they realized that the most important function of money is to carry the value of your labor. I have said that so many years, but I think I've finally figured out, hopefully, how to say it in a way that even somebody that's not paying attention to any of this and is just struggling to keep food on the table and has no interest in the markets at all, I want them to understand the importance of money. And it is to carry the value of your labor. This crap does not carry the value of your labor. Inflation robs that, but this does. So let me know how I'm doing. And if there's something in any of these videos that you don't understand, please understand that it is my job to explain it in a way that you do understand it and that you can take it to heart. So that is really what I've been focusing on in this big change and shift. And I really would appreciate, and I've noticed it. I've noticed it in some of the comments and I appreciate that more, if that's okay to ask you for more. So that makes all of it worth it, because really, I feel like here I am, 72, and I'm finally figuring it out, hopefully. And Jacqueline 9155 asks, Lynette, instead of measuring gold and silver in dollars, what should we compare them against to determine whether they are truly gaining purchasing power and doing the job we own them to do? And that's a great question. I need to point out, first of all, it's not whether they are truly gaining purchasing power. That's not their job. Their job is to maintain their value at the time that you earned the money. So you measure it against everything else. Like I've shown you many times how the average wage in 1913 was $800 a year, and a family of 4 could actually live with one wage earner, right? Now, I'm not saying they were super wealthy, but one wage earner could support a family of 4 on $800 a year. Now, as we were shifting into the new system, what did they do? They make people feel richer so that they just comply. And of course, after 33, they took the gold away from us. And so for a long time, or actually between 1913 and I'll say 1971, the average worker did indeed participate in productivity gains. I probably should do something on that. I haven't done it in a while. I've done it in the past. Let me just make that little note. Productivity gains. Okay. So up until 1970, actually pretty much up until the early 80s, the average worker was indeed participating in those productivity gains, so that by 1971, the average wage was $10,400. And a family of 4 could live with one wage earner. Today, the average wage is close to $69,000. And it takes 2 wage earners. And let's face it, they're still living paycheck to paycheck and can't pull together $400 in case of an emergency. That's the measuring stick, right? Gold, I had this painted gold because it makes a nice big point and you can't bend it. This is the dollar, and every time they want to do something else, they change this measuring stick. And they do it slowly enough that you don't make any changes. You can't see it. That's that 2% inflation target. Because let me tell you, and this is an absolute fact, inflation is not a monetary phenomenon. That's an ebb and flow, and that's normal. This fiat money baked into the system, the devaluation. So what do you measure it against? How much food you can buy, the size, your house, your auto, your cost of living. Because what I've shown you many, many times, especially in those tables, and if you want one, I think I put one together for recent, but I don't have it here. But you know what? Let's mark that down so that we can put it there and you can see it. Then when I ask for it, we'll just put it up. It may not be exactly timely, but it'll give you what you need for that. When you look at those tables that I put together, what do you see? You see that silver actually maintains your ability to purchase the same goods and services. And that gold actually expands your ability to purchase the same goods and services. But both of them hold the value of your labor into time. It's not gold going up. It's the measuring stick changing. That's that inflation. That is by design. They change the rules underneath it. And because we do not have redeemable gold in the system to say, oh, no, we don't like that, they can do it. That's why this is critically important to get it back in the global system again. So first, secure yourself. Right? Because if you're not secure, how can you secure anybody else? And because the way you can participate, one of the ways that you can participate in the global sound money movement is to convert this garbage into this good stuff, right? That's a good way for you to participate. And at the same time, you'll measure it against how you actually live, and it will protect you. And Lewis Brown 958 says, the most valuable thing I've gotten from Lynette is the inspiration to start my gardens. I filled my fridge, my freezer, and gave to those in need. Thank you so much. See, honest to God, you don't know how much this means to me. I'm getting chills right now. Honest to God, because my goal always, I heard it when I was 4 years old, that I was supposed to do something that made a positive difference for a lot of people. And that's what you're letting me know. You guys don't know, but you will. You watch this series of The Hidden Truths of Money, because this is what I'm doing in it. You're not going to see it so much in the first one, but go and watch that. You'll see it in the second one. And from here forward, I'm actually going to show you via my life. Some of it might not be so pretty. I'm going to be honest with you about it, because my commitment to you is to give you all of me. That's my commitment. And I'm going to show you why I say I have been groomed for this moment in time. But you're showing me that what I was told and that I sought my entire life is actually happening. I cannot thank you guys enough, every single one of you, for being here and for sharing this. I'm serious. I'm really serious. Thank you. Give me 1 sec. Okay. So this is from Deb Warner, 2978. You know, I really think actually, thank you. Thank you. Lynette, can you see an AI entity being the USA CBDC or the Fed Reserve? I'm thinking AI might be I'm thinking AI might be able to do a better job and not swayed politically. Well, the trouble with AI is that it's only going to spit out whatever it has internally. So, um, but what I can see is I can see a corporation that issues stable coins because that's what is already happening to usher in the hyperinflation to crash the system, right? Justify pushing more stable coins, CBDCs, who's ever controlling the rails. What do you think the Federal Reserve is? It's a private corporation. Okay. Did I use that chart that I used at the red pill? I don't know if I've used that quite yet, but I'm going to be using it. So you can see how really it's all this garbage. It's corporate debt. It's just corporate debt. And so I think we'll get more of the same. I'm sorry, Deb, but I'm pretty sure that if we don't get redeemable gold back in the system again, it's just another corporate takeover. You think corporations give a crap about your value? But you know your value. I know your value. You're very valuable to me. And I appreciate the fact that you think I'm valuable to you, because that is my goal, to bring value. Jerry Mandarin 6. Why would you ever trust a redeemable system ever again? The rules are bendy. Everything can be switched on or off. Well, that's why you have to become your own central bank, but we also have to test it, because that's when it actually happens, which means that you see something they don't like, you ask for your gold back. Now, we certainly saw what happened, because 1929, the public rushed to redeem their certificates and pull the gold out of the system. That's why they created the bank holidays. So why would you ever trust it again? Because if it's not redeemable, I can't use it, right? Then I can never trust it. If it is redeemable, then we have to test it, but we have a tool to test it. Will it change it again? Of course it will. That's kind of like the norm. They lull you into a false sense of security by bringing sound money that you trust into the system. And you're absolutely right, Jerry. And they say, well, this is redeemable. Well, if not enough people go to redeem it, then that lie can be hidden until enough people do. So in 1929, it was tested. And shortly after that, we couldn't redeem the gold anymore. But if you are sitting, you got to understand too, this is also why personally, I don't buy bullion. I buy the collectible coins because it's a different category. And it is a category that is less likely to change. Why? Because it's not standardized. You can have a coin like, not this is not the highest quality coin, but you can have a rare coin in the many, 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 many millions of dollars. So how do you confiscate that? If you're looking at bullion, well, that's all standardized, and that's what you can hold inside of an IRA. So that's easy to confiscate. But if you're holding gold outside of the system, and it's the kind of gold that they are not likely to take away, and if enough of us are doing that, because now we're working in the area that those that know what they're doing, like Treasury Secretary Wooden, that wrote that little caveat in where most, but not all, gold coins were removed from this or called in, right? All you had to do is understand the rules. That's what my Uncle Al did. That's why he was holding thousands of coins when most people thought that this had no more value because it's not backing the currency. They believed the lie. So the way to hold the toes to the fire, so to answer your question, Jerry, if enough of us hold gold, they can't do it. If it's redeemable and the system gets tested, and they know the system can get tested, they have to be more responsible. So, and Duma Charlie 123, can you please tell us your thoughts on the US? Oh, yeah. Actually, I'm pulling stuff up. I was going to talk about it this week. I didn't have a chance to do it. So just pull that. But can you please tell us your thoughts on the US bailing out the Japanese market? Also, the South Korean market turmoil. How about we have that conversation in depth next week? So. And Nathan Patel, 1786, I called the Brinks Vault and they said they cannot store slabbed pre-1933 coins. But is there any more to that? Or is that it? Oh,
I'm sorry about that.
Only the standard pre-33 coins that are not slabbed. Can you explain this to me? Well, it could, I don't know, because obviously I don't own Brinks and I didn't write any of their rules. We can probably look into it and see the reason for it so we can come back and answer that quickly or more in depth, because I am doing a client question or viewer question every week. But if this is raw like this one is, this is what I use for my emergency money. The only difference really between this and bullion is that it's old and it likely has greater protection than the bullion does. So yeah, they can hold it because it would be standardized more toward the bullion. That's my guess, but let me do a little more digging because I don't know that for sure. And I don't like to give misinformation. And I'll never do that intentionally for sure. And the optimistic beekeeper, thank you for this. Hi, Lynette and team. Great live stream. I learned something new here every week. Love the measuring stick explanation. More props, please. You got it. There's a lot of moving parts right now, and really keep those recommendations coming in. I actually was going to use this for the presentations for Rick Roll and Red Pill. That's why I bought it, but I couldn't quite figure out how to hold the clicker and to fold the measuring stick at the same time. So I'm going to work on that for the next presentations. And if you have any other ideas, do that. And I can I'll do like a little, like 2.5 minute. I'm trying to put together a whole bunch of little 2.5 minute videos that you can get people that really it's like, oh, blah, 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 that you can get people to sit down and watch, and maybe using the measuring stick on one of them is it. And I think they have changed out. Haven't they? Have they changed out the new dime card video yet?
I don't know for positive yet.
Not sure about that, but we did record it last week, so we'll double check on that and see if that's not better and more clear. So thank you for this. You'll have more props. Give me a minute. Got a couple on order, and we'll get there. We will absolutely, I promise you, we will get there. And Tommy Carpenter asks, do you think that gold backs could work as a currency? To a degree, the answer would be yes. I don't know. Oh, here it is. Okay. So here's my gold back. First of all, it needs adoption, and that's part of the challenge is getting adoption. And second of all, it needs to be a whole lot less expensive to convert, because that's the biggest challenge. Those are the two biggest challenges that I see with gold backs. Having said that, and because of that, I do see a place for them in the cash portion of your the cash portion of your portfolio for that very first liquidity piece. But because I'm not sure that the adoption is high enough yet, I wouldn't make it more than that. Could it work as a currency? Well, I mean, it does have gold in there. So if there was a little bit more work on it, then I could see how it could work as money inside of a currency system. Hi Ho Silver asks, why do you say 3% of the people is all we need in gold and silver? Why 3%? because it was a very vocal 3% that started the Revolutionary War here in the US. So they didn't have 97% or 100% of the people that believed that we needed to separate from England. We had a very vocal 3%. So that's why that's my target. And Buck 40 Pool Genius. I live in Minnesota now. Ooh, it's cold in Minnesota for sure. I'm planning to sell a half to 2/3 of my gold and silver stack in next months to pay cash for a lock and leave condo in the Phoenix area. Is my timing off? Yes and no. First of all, come visit us in Phoenix and come to our office, and you can even come and see the farm if you have a strategy specialist. Then talk about what your goals are. It is not really, no, that is not the time actually. No, you do whatever you want, and I'm going to support you no matter what, even if I disagree with you, but I would say bad idea. Better idea is to hold your gold and your silver, physical, and repay a fixed rate 30-year mortgage when we get that overnight reset. This still it's severely undervalued. So why would you liquidate an undervalued asset that is in a long-term positive trend into a depreciating asset, an overvalued asset that is going to come down? Now, having said that, you have to have a place to make your last stand. And if you set up community the right way, then you could do that with a lock and leave condo. That's really where I was before 2008. And then 2008 hit, and that changed everything for me because I 100% knew that the system died. And I'm patient because I know they can't do these things quickly or they get too much pushback, and they need our cooperation. They need us just to accept all of it. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy the property in Phoenix, but you should not use in my opinion, you should not use your sound money to do that. You should allow this to do what it does and has done for thousands of years. Maintain the value into the future. Then when we get that overnight reset, and I don't know what it's going to do, but let's just say that when we get that overnight reset, it's trading at $10,000 an ounce on the spot contract. And then it goes up to starts to go to fundamental value at $40,000. Can you see how it would be so much cheaper to pay off that mortgage? So that's a great goal to have. Let's have that conversation, because that's what the strategy specialists are here for, to help you define those goals and then help you make educated choices that support those goals. And I don't know what a concept puts your best interest first. And Dylan Williams, 9091. Hey, Lynette, when is the live shows in the office? We haven't quite picked the date yet. Jessica's covering her face, but we are absolutely working on it, and we have the preliminary research done. There's actually quite a bit of equipment that we need in order to be able to do that live in the amphitheater. So I promise you this, we will be picking a date soon, and we're going to give you enough time so that if you don't live here, it's easy for you to come and see it and make those plans. Especially if we do it in the winter when it's pretty nasty in Minnesota and lots of other places, but that's when it's the nicest here. And Ellie QR9HC asks, I have a serious question about gold coming from a silver stacker. If gold is $4,000, my very trusted gun and pawn shop sells his silver and gold all at spot. But which gold coin would you favor? a 10th ounce gold Canadian maple, or if it's available, the American Eagle, Pandas, Philharmonics, etc., in a plain capsule at $400, and beside it, wait, are these two different questions?
These are all the same.
Okay, I'm going to reread it again too. I might answer these in sections. In plain capsule at $400, and beside it was a Mint State 69 American silver gold coin at $425. Which would you buy? I would buy the 10-ounce gold, because having a Mint State 69. Now, first of all, I don't really know which silver coin you're talking about, so I could change my mind if it's like an ultra rare piece, but it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish, right? Because for me, it has always been the right tool for the job. But if you are referring to maintaining your ability to purchase, so that first part of it, hands down, it's going to be, you know, and if you're married to bullion, then actually 10th ouncers are a safer way to go, because if they do indeed do an overt confiscation, maybe they will, maybe they won't, I don't know, but for a moment, let's assume they do. And for a moment, let's assume that in that confiscation, they put a limit, like the last time was 5 ounces. If you have a 10th of an ounce coin, you're so far away from that 5 ounces that it's probably not going to, you know, raise too many red flags. Having said that, and you may be absolutely, and if you've got somebody that'll sell it at spot to you, okay, that's awesome. If that's the choice you want to make, rock and roll hoochie coo, I support that. But what I would also support is diversification, right? So if you're going to do bullion, make sure you do something that offsets that bullion, because I am really all about what if I'm right and what if I'm wrong. And I want to do something that really doesn't matter if I'm right or if I'm wrong. So if you're going to do bullion and there is an overt confiscation, make sure you have that properly balanced out with the collectibles. That's all I'm saying, you guys. You don't have to agree with me, but watch some of these, watch the hidden truths. We're taking our time. They're not necessarily going to be rolling out like that, because to me, these are really, really critical pieces. So, and they're longer. You're not going to get people to watch them as easily, but we could probably break down some of the serious lessons in there. Okay, and Jeffrey Owens asked, as a beginner, I faced heavy losses trying to trade on my own. Yep. No matter how much I study, my small investments aren't growing. Any tips or recommendations? First of all, why are you trading? Okay, this is a very, very dangerous market. Now, I will say that if you're going to look at that, then I highly recommend you watch any of my technical lessons, because even though I typically go long term, if you're going to trade, you need to understand them, and you need to understand them in whatever your short-term trading is. But when you're going into trade, you're going up against professionals that have much deeper pockets than you. Why would you waste the fiat currency wealth when you can convert it easily into an undervalued asset that is in a long-term positive trend? I should do that. Can you jog my memory enough when you put it in PowerPoint that I want to do one on the long-term positive trend, undervaluation. If you go undervaluation, overvaluation, I think I'll remember. Maybe I can show you that even better, because what you need, Jeffrey, is to understand what's really happening. If you want to trade rock and roll hoochie coo, But if you want a strategy, I don't trade, and I had every license I needed. I know how to do it. I'm a technician. I was in the markets forever, and I had the best teachers to teach me how to be a technician. So, yeah, recommendations, don't trade. Call us, explain where you are. We will meet you where you are, and then we will help you get to where you want to go, because this is a community. And Elizabeth Murray, 5718, paper claims. What are those? The notes are our bills, I assume. Okay. This is, okay. This is an asset. This is a claim on an asset. So you see this is a gold certificate. And this shows that you could bring this into the bank. This is the claim, and you can take this. So a claim is something you can convert into a real asset. In today's system, actually, there aren't really a whole lot of claims because you can't get to the underlying asset. So primarily what we're dealing with are promises. That's it. And any promise is only as good as the issuer of that promise. That's why that confidence and that trust is so critical. And they're losing it because, look, what younger person thinks that the good old American dream, go to school, get a degree, get a good job, you'll be able to get a mortgage, you'll be able to raise a family, you'll be able to educate them, you'll be able to take vacations, you'll be able to retire. All you have to do is what we're telling you to do. Nobody believes that anymore because they're seeing the truth. Okay, so paper claims, the notes, no, that's a silver certificate. Okay, take out a bill from your wallet. What do you see? The US is really a whole lot more obvious about it than other paper currencies are, but Federal Reserve note. A note is a debt instrument. It's not money. So this is corporate debt. And they even admit it. I mean, you can search it. You can ask the government, you can ask the Federal Reserve, is a note a debt instrument? And yep, it is. So a claim means that you can convert it into, that goes back to that other question, if we have redeemable gold in the system, okay? It means you can get the asset itself. The system has really gone further and further and further away from that ability. I mean, you used to be able to hold your stock certificates and your bond certificates. Well, bonds, no, you're not getting a certificate anymore. You haven't for a while, right? So you can't even claim that. And I'd have to look, because I know they were shifting this direction. I don't know if they concluded shifting in this direction where you have the ability to hold your own stock certificates, or you can hold your stock certificates at the company itself so that Wall Street can't use that as their equity to borrow against. But in reality, I don't think we really have. Well, kind of. I guess if you have like an annuity, but that's still a promise sometime in the future. And it's based on the claims paying ability of the insurance company. So, but that's what it is. And Tony Vu 60, dear Lynette, since you are confident on gold, not because of its value, but because of the diminishing dollar, my question to you is to answer why gold, silver drop like a brick when the dollar barely budge running up. Because you, my friend, are looking at the lie. You are looking at the contract market. Now that contract market, all of the money that has been pushed into the system is sloshing around in the system. So what is moving any of these markets? take your pick. But what is moving any of these markets is the flow of funds. This is a trading market. I do have it on my list to do one on financialization. That will go into this even better. So you could even pull that. That'd be a great question that will. And I have to do 5 pieces this weekend. So you guys don't know. But anyway, that's okay. So the reason why, if I could get talking heads at Bloomberg and CNBC and in the paper to refer to the spot contracts as contracts, then you would understand this better, but they don't. They refer to it as gold and silver. That's why you think that it's gold and silver. It's not gold and silver. It's a contract. That's what dropped like a stone. And this is why you know that. Because did I show them in this one where demand is going up? We filmed that earlier. Okay. But there are 36, and you should put the mic by your mouth if you answer, because they can't hear you when we're having these conversations. So it just looks like I'm talking to an invisible entity, but she's sitting right there. And she looks very pretty today, too. I'll say that. Okay. But there are 36 that I counted, so it's not a definitive list. 36 different global users of physical silver and 33 different global users of physical gold. They ain't using those contracts. I mean, they might use it to hedge something, but the contracts do not conduct electricity, cannot be flattened out to the skinniest of layers to go inside of a gold-backed bill or to perform any other functions that physical gold and silver perform. So what I would say to you, Tony, is you're looking at the wrong thing. Look at the demand. Did we put the COMEX demand in there in the system yet? Okay, I'm going to show you. All right, put it up there. Let them see it. Okay, so this is the COMEX gold inventory. So even as the spot markets are going up and down or dropping, whatever they're doing, this is what's really happening underneath it all that you can't see. So you can call us. Your strategy specialist, I put the links to everything in all of my work. Your strategy specialist can give you this link. This is what you need to be paying attention to. What's happening in the physical market, because you're looking at what's happening in the paper market. That's the lie. This is the truth. Look at what central banks are doing. More gold, more silver is being bought. Do we also put the silver inventory in there? It is. There you go. What's the truth, you guys? Looking at a piece of paper. Good job. See, she's getting,
Don't give me too many compliments.
Yeah, I can't give her too many compliments. She's doing a great. She really is. You know, I said I got to get 5 pieces done this weekend. My normal production are 3 pieces. Okay. But because of all of the shows and all the traveling that I've been doing, I'm kind of behind, because with the new procedure too, it takes longer in production for, all the animations and to put these things together. And so I got to get us a little bit ahead so that those guys can have the time to do the work that they need to do on them. And we give you the absolute best video possible. So, but my point was, because of how well really Jessica's been catching on and the work that she's been doing, I was amazed at how much I was able to get accomplished this weekend. So yeah, she says, don't give me too many compliments. Forget it. I'm sitting here telling you that she's doing a phenomenal job, and she is helping me do my job better, as is everybody else here. We're absolutely a team. And okay, and Mustang Rider. But what about modern slabbed coins? or proof silver collections? Are they not considered collectibles? And this is a question from the Hidden Truth #1 video. Thank you so much for watching it. No, they're not. And the reason why I say that is because if you go to sell them back to the wholesalers, suddenly they lose all of their premium. Remember, the pre-1933 coins, whether they were gold or silver, were actually used in day-to-day living. So when you see me having these coins in my hand, condition doesn't matter at all. But the new coins, the modern coins, they're not issued to be in circulation. They're issued to be pristine. And that's why that value doesn't hold, because they're all kind of like that. You're not using them. You're not throwing them in a pouch or a vault. You're stacking them, or they're held in sleeves. They're going to remain pristine. So that's the difference between this and the new stuff.
This next question is actually from the video one.
Awesome. Oh, okay. Okay. And this is from Stefan Schutenden. And if I butcher anybody's name, please forgive me. Not a strength of mine. 5196. Lynette, thanks. But I see still one puzzle of the system missing. If planks are moved, they're changed one by one. Who actually produces and decides on the nature of these planks? I understand that central banks have a say in monetary policy, but who controls the central banks? It would be nice to explain how the COMEX market is run if people say there are more gold promises than physical gold. Then who manages the process of issuing these promises, and who runs and the benefits from the casino? You know, that is a really good question. And I apparently, and I can't even tell you how much I appreciate this comment, and I will put a video together for it. I may not have it next week, but I will have it shortly. So that's definitely marked. Thank you very much. You got to help me find the holes. And this is doing that. Thank you. And don't be shy, and don't, go, well, I don't want to hurt her feelings. You won't hurt my feelings. This is my job, and this has been a quest of mine forever. So thank you for that. And that's a great question. I will go into that in depth, and hopefully I will do as good a job at explaining that as my opinion doesn't really matter that much as I think I'm doing at this, but I will do it. I will do it. And, it really is an advantage of being a creative, because I know I can always figure out something and how to do something better. I just keep working on it. That's all. And Bella 123527. Okay, Lynette, they water out the gold standard. Question: can we mix away the water and get a new, real deal, new gold standard again? That's what I'm working on. And you should see this massive project. Now, it is the second Monday of the month when we have the Sound Money Hour. So start to come to that, and bring your friends, and bring lots of questions, because it's definitely open for Q&A. And we have some politicians that come in. It doesn't matter whether you're Democrat or Republican, because sound money is for everybody. So this is not about that. This is about getting sound money back in the global monetary system again. Yeah, I think we can do it. And I have to tell you, when I first started hearing that come out of my mouth, it sounded crazy to me. It doesn't sound so crazy anymore, because look at the feedback that I'm getting from you guys. We are growing. The sound money movement on a global basis and a local basis is growing, because, people know, you can feel, even if you aren't paying attention to anything we're talking about yet, talk to your neighbors. They can feel that something isn't quite right. I mean, they used to be able to afford food for their family pretty easily. Now they can't. They know that there's something wrong, but they can't quite put their finger on it because at a 2% inflation target, and we've been actually trained to think of this as money. But there was a day when this $100 bill, you know what we should do? Because I talked about this today. I have 3 $100 bills. This one is from 1990. This one is from 2006. You can see that these bills look a little bit different, right? And then this one is from 2009. So after the great financial crisis. Well, this looks an awful lot like this one, doesn't it? But it's got extra security features, maybe even a chip in it. I don't know. They've talked about putting chips in the bills. So, you know, it would be interesting to go in and just do a purchasing power. I'll do that. That'll be fun. And that won't take very long. And that can just be like just the little thing that we put out. That'd be fun. But yeah, I think we can do it. I'm fighting for it. And Mr. Money 2511, if the price of gold in the USA, if the price of gold the USA owns was equal to the M2 money supply, the price of gold would be $88,000 per ounce. Why is no one saying this? If you can explain that, I would understand it better. Keep it simple, please. Okay, here's the answer. A rising gold price is an indication of a falling fiat currency. Does the government want you to know that the fiat money is failing? Nope. So what they do is they suppress with the paper contract markets. They can make as many of those as they want. They suppress and suppress and suppress the visible price that you see, all the while the fundamental value you referred to as 88,000 continues to grow. When all confidence is lost in the currency, to regain your confidence, they will revalue gold to the fiat currency. When they do that, well, that was pretty crappy. But then you will see that spot market shoot up closer to the true fundamental value of this ounce of gold. Did that do it? If it didn't, let Jessica know. She will let me know, and I'll do something on that. But simply put, it's easy to suppress. Actually, I even have that Jim Cramer video from, I think, 96 or something like that, where he laughs about how easy it is to manipulate these markets. Let's pull that out. And I can do a very short video on that that'll answer it. And Anastasia 91,000 asks, so what is stopping governments from taking gold away from the consumers again? Nothing. Now, if we come together in local and global community and enough of us hold gold outside of the system, this is money that you're holding outside of the banking system. That's why it's a threat to them. If enough of us do that, no, they can change the laws. They do it all the time. They're doing it right as we're sitting here and talking, and we don't even know that those laws are being changed. But this is why I don't really like monetary gold. I don't like bullion. That's why. And people will say, oh, poo, poo, poo. Well, gosh, there's all different ways that they're confiscating. You're saying what's stopping the government from taking gold away from the consumers? How about the level of taxation that they put on gold to discourage you from taking possession of it? How about the level that standardizing bullion and making that really the only kind of gold that you can hold inside of a retirement plan, where it's so easy to do a confiscation, especially since that's standardized, they can manipulate the price, right? And then they can actually say, this is what I think it'll look like, right? Let's say spot's at $5,000 an ounce. You can pick any number you want, but let's just say it's at $5,000 an ounce and they decide to do an overt confiscation, because taxation, inflation, and many other terms are all forms of confiscation. Okay, but let's just say, yep, we need you to turn in that gold again because we've got to strengthen the dollar. All those bad rest of the people out there, other central bankers. So we got to strengthen the dollar, and we need your gold to do it. And hey, spot's at $5,000 an ounce, so we'll pay you $10,000 an ounce. Well, most people, not realizing what the true fundamental value of an ounce of gold, and if you're using the other number, $88,000, right? But if you don't know that, you're going, wow, look at this. Wall Street tells me that gold is only worth $5,000, but this good old government and central bank, they're willing to pay me $10,000. Okay, they can have my gold. I don't care. It's only worth $5,000. Wrong. It's worth the 88. And actually, if you look at the last time I checked it, this would be different now. But the last time that I checked it, because I just recently updated all the formulas, we haven't done that video yet, but I did just update the global fundamental value by putting in the new IFF numbers for how much debt is out there globally. If we were to do it, the last time I did it just for the US, it was $135 an ounce was the true fundamental value of an ounce of gold. That's based on the debt and how much gold we say we are holding. So, yeah, why not pay a premium? People don't realize that it's a lie. And they go, oh, wow, because they put value in this stuff. I don't put value in this stuff because I know the truth. I put value in this. I put value in my time, effort, and labor. I put value in you and what you need from me. I work for you, period. Everybody here, we work for you. And that's our attitude toward it. So, yeah, they can do anything they want. But this has layers of different and added protection. You're going to see that in the, I did that in the Uncle Al video, which might be coming out Saturday, or it might come out the following Saturday. But it's coming. And I'm not promising you the hidden truths of money every single week, because what I'm promising you is the absolute best video we can put out. And that's a collective. And Beverly Robertson, 6796. What about China and Japan? Paper gold. What is going on? Well, there's a huge shift, particularly in China. They're going to the physical. And we did, actually, I think that's coming out on, is that coming out on Thursday? Ernest DeBella asked me a great question exactly about what's happening in the paper markets with gold. And
It's either this week or next.
okay, so I just did a whole video on that, and it'll either come out this Thursday or maybe next Thursday, but maybe this weekend. But it's coming out, so I just did that. That goes into that in a lot more detail, and that was a viewer question, Ernest DeBella. And Dylan William, which rock and roll hoochie coo. And Dylan Williams, 9091. Hey, Lynette, just wanted to say I love what you do. Thank you so much. You and the people in your company give me so much hope. I was a mess thinking being young, I'd be stuck working at 75. It is our pleasure to be of service. That is why we're all here, to share the gifts that we have been given. And thank you. Thank you. This is awesome. No wonder at the end of this, look, this is not the case today, but there have been days that have been kind of challenging and maybe something has gone wrong and I haven't felt whatever. But when I come in and I sit down and do these lives, when I say this is my favorite day of the week, I'm not kidding, because I always feel fabulous when it's at the end of it, and not because it's the end of it, but because of you guys and these kinds of comments and all of that. So thank you. Thank you. You give me a reason. You give me a reason to work this hard, and I'm never going to stop doing that. Well, I do want to stop having to work every night, and I'll get back to that soon, but and MWX4 asks, what is best way to sell metals when the time comes, not to take a big hit on buyback spread? Local buyer or online? Thanks. Well, honestly, whoever you're doing this with, actually, you are always better off. Well, no, that's not necessarily true. It depends on who you bought them from. If you bought them from Zang International, we're actually executing a strategy. You pay that on the way in. On the way out, you get 100% of the wholesale bid. So I know that's a little bit confusing. We will make that, just call us. We'll walk you through it, and we'll walk you through it in all the different ways until you understand it. So you paid the spread on the way in. On the way out, you get 100% back. No more spreads. And so you need to make sure that whoever you're doing business with in there, that you know what their buyback policy is. That is critically important. And oh, by the way, do they have a strategy? And what is that strategy? And do they ever intend for you to exit? Or are they just selling it to you and then you're stuck on the way out with whatever you're going to have to accept? I used to tell clients all the time, if you need to liquidate, please call me first. We'll give you a bid. Then you can do whatever you want, right? But you do need to understand that with Zang International, we have a number of different avenues to liquidate. And when it is time for you to liquidate, and honestly, that could be your choice, or if you're executing the strategy with us, call us first, get a bid. Then you can make educated choices. Unfortunately, for some people that I can think of right off the top of my head, they decided they wanted to liquidate and sell it, and they didn't call me first. Well, if you don't do that, I'm going to tell you right now, even if you didn't buy it from us, call us first. We are all about you making educated choices. We'll give you that bid. Now you can know where you're going to get the most. But if you're working with us, when it is time to liquidate, we have put all these different avenues and aren't continuing to do that. We're not done yet, and I'm not going to lie to you about it. But we're putting in all of these different avenues to liquidate so that we all have the opportunity to see how you are going to benefit most from it, whether it's directly back to the wholesaler or it's at auction. Those are a couple of different ways that we can do it, because our job on the way out is to maximize what you're going to get for it in terms of this garbage, or wherever you are in the world, or whatever that currency happens to be when it is time to liquidate, so that you can convert it either into paying off a mortgage or positioning for opportunity, etc. It's a whole very comprehensive plan. And I do go into this much more in the next secrets Hidden Truths of Money. I go into that in a lot more detail. And in fact, I've had people that have reviewed it that have said to me that that was the best explanation that I've done so far. So make sure that you watch that. Manny Green from TikTok. For the gold certificate, can you still exchange that till this day? No, but it's not illegal anymore, because when they made it illegal, they didn't really make it illegal for those that knew the true law. But when they took the gold away from the public, they took the ability to convert it away too. When they made it legal again for the public to hold, they did re-legalize this, but it not from back then. And I don't think anybody's doing gold certificates at this moment. We should probably double check that, but I'm pretty sure nobody is. And just hold it and own it. Now, if we can get redeemable gold back in the global monetary system, then we would have something similar to this, probably not paper, because of course we're in a different system, but this would be the digital equivalent to this gold certificate. The other thing that we will talk about, because it is part of the strategy when you start to convert it into income producing assets, that gold clause. So the gold clause was stated inside a contract that it would either be X amount of dollars or a certain amount of gold, right? And they were equal when you first wrote the contract. The reason why they put the gold clause in there was so that it was the writer of the contract. So if I own a property and I'm giving you a lease, I'm putting this in I'm telling you right now, I'm putting it in my leases that it is either X amount of dollars or X amount of gold. So as the dollar loses more value, like my $10 trillion Zimbabwe note, then I can demand payment in gold to maintain the value of that contract into the future. So they disallowed that back in 33, but that is perfectly legal again. So if any of you are writing contracts, you might want to look at putting the gold clause in. And when the time is right, I'll do more on the gold clause, because that is part of the strategy to generate income. And Neo the Wise asks, oops. Would the ultra rare collectibles have smaller pool of buyers when it comes to converting them? They don't even move much during an upswing. Is it wiser to get more of normal collectibles? No. What is the wisest thing to do? Because if you're looking at the ultra rare collectibles, that's for legacy wealth. So that could be many generations. Maybe that's never sold, but that is legacy wealth purely designed to hold it over long periods of time and pass down generation to generation to generation. So it depends on what your position is and your goals are. But I would not say, like for me personally, which you guys know, legacy is extremely important to me. And I certainly have legacy coins that I don't often pay above fundamental value for something, but in a legacy coin, I've been known to, right? Not all of them, but in some cases. But that's because I know they're going to keep doing this. So I know that the fundamental value is going to keep going up. And I also know that when they need to regain confidence, then we're going to see that move more toward fundamental value. But I also know that if I've done my job well by building out a total legacy, they're not going to sell those coins. When it is time to sell those coins or other legacy assets that I put in place for my children, they're not going to do it in a random way. It might go through a Christie's or a Sotheby's. It might go through a wholesaler. There are so many different ways when it's really time. But the ultra rare coins are not really about you liquidating unless an emergency comes up. It's not that they're not liquid and we can liquidate them for you like that, but the purpose of the legacy gold is to pass down from generation to generation. And so when you call and you outline and you work with the strategy specialist and clearly define your goals, you're going to have all different kinds of gold in there. And silver as well. You're going to have a really well-defined metals portfolio that is diversified. So if you need liquidity like this, we got that covered. It's raw. If you don't, but you're going to protect the assets that you either have to or choose to hold in the system, not a problem. That's a different kind of gold. That's not an ultra rare piece. That's not what the point of it is. Neither is the kind of gold that you need to pay off your mortgage. Neither is the kind of gold that you're going to use to take advantage of those opportunities. So it's going to be in many, many layers, and it'll be based purely on your goals. And it's not going to be all around the ultra rare. That's not what this strategy is about. And that's it for today. But you guys, really, I can't even tell you how much you feed me, right? My heart and my soul. And I appreciate it more than I could ever say, but I hope you see it in how hard all of us work for you, because that's what we do. And I absolutely do know we can all make a very positive difference. If we get sound money back in the global system again, we have made a positive difference for a whole lot of people, and that can trickle down through generations. And if I do my job well, and I will be going into the schools. I mean, we've got a lot of things on the plate so that people really understand what money is and what money's really supposed to do for you. And we take our power back. If I do my job well so that people understand it, they won't be able to take it away from us, because when we see them, when we recognize that pattern, we say no. Until next we meet, thank you guys for being here. And seriously, no matter where you are in the world, be safe out there. Bye-bye.